Hey there, this is the video for the exit ticket for distance versus displacement walkthrough. So we are going to be starting in the week 30 folder. You should see the exit ticket for distance and displacement here. So when you click on it and open it, you should see something that looks like this. All right, and there are 5 questions here, which is why it's an exit ticket. It's a little bit on the shorter side. So I'm going to be going through the first 2 with you, I believe, and then I'll give you some hints on the rest of it. Because, like I said, I need you to show me that you know how to do this and show me your skills. So the basic here is basically, I think the concept's pretty easy, but I'm going to show you how to do it on Google Docs versus in the class. Okay, so we're working on distance and displacement. Remember, distance is the total length of your travel, and the displacement is how far you are from your starting point. So keep that in mind today as we go through this. So the question says, Josh buys a new motorcycle. He travels 3 kilometers north and then 4 kilometers east. How far does he need to go to get back to where he started, aka his displacement? So what distance did he cover? All right, so his total distance is the total amount of distance he covered. So you see that he went 3 kilometers south and then 4 kilometers east. So in total, 3 plus 4 is 7. So you write here 7 km, or 7 kilometers. Now his displacement is a little trickier, especially if it's in multi-directions like it is here. All right, so if I what you're gonna do is on each graph, you're gonna double click on it. You're gonna open up the drawing section of it. So now you have the ability to draw on it using lines and shades and shapes and stuff like that. So what you're gonna do is you're going to graph his path on the chart. Each cell represents 1 kilometer. And then you have your north up at the top, south at the bottom, east to your right, and west to your left, just like a regular compass. So it says that he went 3 kilometers south. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the Select Align tool. I'm going to use line. I'm going to start at the origin. So 0, 0 is where you're going to start every one of these graphing plots. So I'm going to click and drag, and he went 3 south. So I'm going to go until I get to 3, and then I'm going to release it. Now, you might not be able to see this very well, but it's highlighted a little bit there. So what you should do is, I like to make my lines have a good thickness so you can see them. So 4 does the trick, and then I like to do a little bit of color so they really stick out. So I've gone 3 to the south, all right, and then now notice that I still have the tool out, so I can just quickly draw another line 4 kilometers to the east. Remember, east is to the right. So I'm going to drag it from here over to 4. Boom, there. So now I've created the journey. What I want you to do is we're going to find how far he is from where he started. Oops, wrong button. From where he started to where he ended. So if he started, let me do here. So if he starts at the center and the origin, so that's start. I'll mark that with a green dot. And he moves to the end here, which I'll mark with this red dot. So again, he started at the green dot. He went 3 south and 4 east. So he ends at the red dot. So we want to know the distance from the beginning to the end. So from here to there. All right, so I'll make that a red line there. All right, so you don't have to do the dots like I did. You just have to do the triangle. So you should see that the red line in your triangle connects the starting point to the ending point. All right, so I'm going to walk through this in a way that I'm going to add some things, but I'm just looking for this. All right, so this is what I'm looking for. So here, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So you have A on this side. Let me change the color so it's a little easier to see. A is here. B is here. And then we're going to solve for C. All right, so if you remember that from math class, a squared plus b squared is c squared. So the a side of the triangle represents the distance that he went from the origin in his first trip south, which was 3 kilometers. All right, so up here at the top, I'm going to do a little text box, and I'm going to show you the math that you're going to do for it. Let's make this large so you can see it. All right, so if a equals 3, he's going to have 3 squared. That little upward caret means squared, plus b squared, which goes over 4. So it's going to be 4 squared equals c squared. But don't forget, you're going to want to take the square root of whatever you come up with this answer for. Otherwise, it's going to be wrong, because we don't want the square root of, we don't want the squared answer. We want the regular answer, so in a regular format. All right, so then what I'm going to do is you plug that into your calculator, and you can get 3 times 3 is 9, plus 4 times 4, which is 16. And that equals 25. If you take the square root of 25, now you can do that over here in your Google calculator. So I'm going to use calculator. This is what the Google calculator looks like. The square root button is right here. It's underneath the log and next to the number 1. It's right here. When you click it, you're going to get this little check looking thing. And inside those parentheses, that's where you want to put the number that you wind up with. So I wound up with 3 squared plus 4 squared, and that equals 9 plus 16, and that is 25. So you take that number 25 and you put it in here. Hit enter. So you get 5. So one more time, you're going to click this button first, then you're going to type in your number, then you're going to hit enter. 5 is the answer. So C right here is 5. So C equals 5. Now we know the distance of his displacement is 5 kilometers, because where he started the green dot and where he ended at the red dot, the length of that is 5. Now what we want to make sure we add to our answer is the direction that he's moving in. So he is in the 4th quadrant, the lower right quadrant, and that is south and to the east. So it's south, down, east to the right. So the answer that we're actually going to put in here is 5 kilometers southeast. Don't forget to include this direction. Because if you were lost and you said, I'm 5 kilometers from where I started, that could be 5 kilometers in any direction and no one would ever find you. So when you're done with the problem, this is what I want it to look like right here. All right, so let's move on to number 2. All right, so Javon goes on a hike in the woods. He travels 5 kilometers north, then 3 kilometers west, then 1 kilometer north again. What is this distance? So remember, the distance is the sum of all of your directions. So 5 plus 3 plus 1. 5 plus 3 plus 1 is 9. Now his displacement. Now the reason I wanted to go over this one with you guys is because the last one is nice and simple. You ended it in a nice little right triangle, so you just connected the lines. This one, not so simple. All right, but it's easy to make your own right triangle, which is what you're going to have to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same stuff I did last time. I'm going to use a circle for my starting point, just so it's obvious. Again, you don't have to use a circle to start for your start point, but if you can, go for it. Next, I'm going to use my line, all right? And it says he went 5 kilometers north. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to drag it up to the number 5. Let go. And again, I'm going to resize my lines so that they're easier to see and nicer to work with. All right, then he goes 3 kilometers east. So from here, east is to the right. Remember, north is up, south is down, east is right, west is left. We go 1, 2, 3. Make another line. What's nice about this is you can just keep clicking and making lines without having to touch anything, and they're going to match. And then finally, he went 1 north again. So north is up. I'm going to go 1 box up, like that. And then now, just for your guys' sake, I'm going to make a red, oops, wrong button. I'm going to make a red circle. At my end. All right, so now don't make the mistake of ending from the point before you go 1 north. Okay, now remember, your displacement is the distance from your starting point to your ending point. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a line that represents my displacement. Oops. Go from here to there. And then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to put it in blue so you can see it easily. So there, that's the distance I want. All right, so what we have to do now is you got to make your own right triangle. So it's not so easy anymore where, like, before, if you would have stopped at that 3 east motion, then we would have had an easy triangle. But this time we don't. So what you have to do is you have to make your own right triangle. And that's totally fine. So make a right triangle from your ending point. You drop down to the x-axis and then go over. That's not the straight line. Down and then go over. So now I've created a right triangle. I'm going to recolor them. Oops, wrong button. So that you can see. So the lines in red are the lines that I made myself. Those lines are the lines that aren't part of his journey, but are part of making the hypotenuse. So measuring the hypotenuse. So now I have 2 legs, and all you got to do is count them. All right, so this one goes from the origin over to 3. So this one is 3. And then the next one, you're going to count up. All right, so it's not 3. I'm going 1. Get out of here. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6. This triangle is 6. All right, so now you have the information you need to do the Pythagorean theorem. So you do, I'll do it over here. All right, a squared is 3, so it'll be 3 squared plus 6 squared. Right, and that equals 9 plus 36 equal to 45. Am I math right? Oh, now you have 45. 45 is not a easily squared number, so I got to go over to your calculator And remember, you type in the square root 45 and hit enter. So I'm cool with the 100th place, so like this. So if you round to the 100th place, you should get 6.71. And then here, it'd be 6.71 kilometers. And in what direction? So he's going up and to the right, so that'd be northeast. All right, so that's how you do it if you have a triangle. All right, so if you wind up in a direction that's both in the X and Y, so if you wind up on anything that's not an X or Y plane, then you're going to do the Pythagorean theorem. All right, down here, all right, for number 3, I'll give you a hint. You wind up somewhere on the X or the Y axis. So you don't have to use the Pythagorean theorem in number 3. All right, so just see where you wound up from where you started. And then with number 4 and 5, you're going to be repracticing the stuff I just did. Okay, so you can do it. Give it a try. Do your best. Watch this video a few times and go slow at the parts that you might not understand. Might help you go be easier. Don't just try this and then throw your hands in the air if you don't get it right away. If you need help, come to me with questions that you have tried so I can see where you went wrong and assess the problem quicker. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this helped.